Government.
Damien O'Connor.
If you ever want a perfect case study of incompetent National Party oversight, then this is it. In 1998, when the last National Government was in power, it was determined to start selling off state-owned assets. It indicated to Solid Energy it wanted it sold, and this company was brought to its knees. It was bailed out by government in 1998. Labor came in 99. This government, the Labor government, said, get on with the job of mining. And this company became an export leader, prizes and recognition for its export growth. And 5 years into the next Tory government, this company is on its knees. Because the government, the Tory government, the national government, refused to provide proper oversight. Mr. Speaker, yes, there are challenges in the coal industry. There are a number of coal mines operating profitably, surviving on the West Coast, but not Solid Energy, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the problem with it is that the miners are the ones who have paid the dear price for the incompetent oversight by the national government. We had a company running around like a bunch of drunken sailors, spending money all over the place. Bonuses, for example, when there were clear indicators of challenging times in the international coal market, Mr. Speaker. This is a classic case of Tory oversight. Bonuses were offered to employees. In fact, it was told at the Select Committee. Where did that money go? Well, 1.3 million went to employees on collective agreements. Who are they? They are the miners, risking their lives day in, day out. What about the 9.7 million that went to employees on individual contracts? The managers, the people sitting on their chuffs in the palace in Christchurch got the 9.7 million, and that minister and the national government approved that and signed it off. No wonder the company is almost $400 million down the gurgler, because the ministers were asleep at the wheel. Oh, and we had the chairman quoting Mr. Palmer and Mr. Elder and what they told us at the Select Committee. Well, the only reason they were there is because the Labor members on the committee insisted that they turn up, because it was Mr. Ford and Mr. Dyack that came along to the committee first up and said that Mr. Elder didn't want to come along. That was a lie. That was a lie, and the Select Committee, the Labor members, do not accept the explanations given. Mr. Palmer also said that they weren't setting it up for any sale process. Well, clearly in the documents, that was one of the objectives of the shareholding government and ministers. And Mr. Palmer has been a long-time champion of part privatisation. I like John Palmer and I respect him. And he has been out on the front foot in the media championing part privatisation. I do not believe for a moment that that objective was not part of the problem that Solid Energy got itself into. It was trying to do two things. Firstly, the ministers insisted on gearing the company up so they could get a greater dividend, which put pressure on a mining company that is not traditionally the way you run a mining company. The board objected, the ministers insisted, so the gearing went up. At the same time, they had been told to set the company up for part privatisation. That formula was disastrous. The chief executive and the company were trying to diversify at a time when again the national government stepped in and took off the mandatory obligation of biofuels and undermined what could have been a good initiative, admitted by the chairman, the former chairman and the chief executive, admitted that biodiesel might have worked if the mandatory obligation had not been taken away by the national government. Mr. Speaker, $400 million down the gurgler, almost 500 miners have lost their jobs on the West Coast, and a few managers have lost their jobs. In fact, the last announcement, 109 people, half those people lost their jobs in the regions of New Zealand where they mine. Only half of those, about 59, lost jobs in Christchurch. I feel sorry for those people, Mr. Chairman, but the reality is the West Coast and the miners, the people who risk their lives in Spring Creek and all the other mines, They were the people who weren't getting the bonuses. They were the people who got kicked out of work. And the chief executive and other senior managers got huge bonuses. That was unfair. That was classic Tory management.
Order. Otherwise, the member will take another call. The question is that the report of the Commerce Committee on the 2011-12 financial review of Solid Energy New Zealand Limited be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, I understand the next entity members wish to debate is